Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today's fun fold card fits nicely into our A2 size medium envelopes, and it uses a new bundle coming out on May 1st, 2024 in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog 2024-2025. Oh my gosh, can you believe 2025? This cute card has a fun fold that has a point at the top the way our gable goes on our birdhouse. So I'm going to show you how to make this cutie. And like I said, it ends up being 5.5 by 4.25. So we're going to be using this bundle. Oh gosh, it is so pretty. I used the dies and some of the stamps, but you can also stamp this cute birdhouse here and decorate it with fun things there. It even has this little wood grain here. And so I used a lot of the dies are over on my die cutting, but I'm going to show you how we're going to make that. The only measurement that you need to make this birdhouse card, and you could actually make this into an actual birdhouse by putting trim up along here and using all these different things, but actually making the card itself a birdhouse. But the only measurement that you need to remember is that half of 4.25 is 2 1/8. So I'm going to use my trimmer to show you how I did that. Now, I'm starting out with a half sheet of our cardstock that's 4.25 by 11, and I am going to score it at 5.5. So 5.5, using my light scoring tool. Now the next thing you have to just remember is half of this of 4.25 is 2 1/8. So what I did is you could easily take your ruler and just on each side of your score line measure down 2 1/8 from the score line. 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8. But I'm just going to use my trimmer, and I'm just going to put my score line right in the groove, and I'm going to measure over 2 1/8. I mean 2 1/8, yes. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 1/8 is halfway between the quarter mark, okay? And I'm going to do that same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then halfway in between there. And like I said, it could be easy enough just to use your ruler, but I'm just going to use my cutting blade here. I mean the cutting groove here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then half there. I can do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And halfway. So I made my little tick marks. Now, if you want those tick, you can erase them when you're done. So you can, don't worry about that. Just don't use a pen. Okay, so now what we're going to do is create a scored X that bisects this initial score line at 5.5. So we're going to take this tick mark, put it into the groove, and go down to the tick mark on the other side of the score line, and I'm putting them right in the groove, making sure to use my light scoring tool, scoring blade on my trimmer, turn it around and do it again on this side. I have to get this point there. Same thing, the 2 tick marks in the groove. Now, if you were doing this, you would have used your ruler and put 2 1/8 down from the 5.5, and then you would just put it in whatever way you wanted to score your, let me put this here so it doesn't get lost. So there we go. And what we can come back here and we can erase those little score tick marks we made at 2 1/8. And again, this is 11. We scored at 5.5, and then we measured down 2 1/8 from each side of this 5.5 score line. And then we just connected the tick marks. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to do the folding. So you can just fold as you would a normal card. Then you're going to fold this way, and you're going to fold this diagonal, and then these two come in to make that fun card. Now you want to line up your corners and then show this cardstock who is boss. I'm gonna get my scoring tool, which is where, and then once you get these points, sometimes they're a little, they want to make their own, and then just bring it down and score when you can find your scoring tool. But of course, mine is not in my handy dandy little thing there. I wonder where it is actually. Must have been using it somewhere. Okay, so now we have our card that opens from the bottom, and on the inside here, we put a 3 1/4 by 4 inch piece of white that goes in here. I did not go and make this go into here. Who really stamps and writes in there anyhow? So I just went easy and went 4 by 3 1/4. And we will stamp on this first. And why don't we just go ahead and do that right now? And then we can put that in there. So hoping you have the best day ever. So we are going to use Early Espresso ink. And we're going to just pop that sentiment in there. This stamp set, stamped so pretty. I'm just putting that down on the bottom. There we go. And then I'm going to put a little flower. Oh, this stamp set has some pretty little images in it. I'm gonna put the flower here. There we go. One thing about Early Espresso, it has been working for me with my blends. I didn't have any problem with the blends bleeding or anything, because usually you don't want to use any of the colored, some of the other colored inks have the tendency to bleed because you have the same type of material in the pen. So you always want to use the Memento Black, but I have found that the Early Espresso works wonderfully too, to keep. So you can kind of experiment. Just make sure you do it on a piece of scratch paper before you mess up the inside or the outside of your card. So I used the dark Pool Party and the dark Petal Pink. Why did I use those? Because you're gonna see how pretty that works with the colors that are in this designer series paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the inside of our card so that we have it in there, okay? And then I won't forget to do it. So just line that up there. And again, that's 4 inches wide by 3 1/4 inches tall. Okay, get it. Nice 1/8 inch border. Okay, does that look straight? I think that looks straight. There we go. So that is the inside of our card. Now we're going to work on the outside here. This birdhouse is so cute. It has all these little pieces in the dies that cut out the birdhouse. I'm going to kind of do it this way. Cuts out the birdhouse and the little stand that goes on it. You could also make that a flower box. Then it has a die that goes on the top, a pretty scallop die. The circles don't cut out though. I was thinking it did. And then a little border that goes in between those two. So I'm always looking, I'm going to put these over here so they're out of the way. I'm always looking at the best way to conserve my paper. And this paper is absolutely beautiful. It's the Country Woods 12 by 12. This is the colorful one. And then you've got some other wood grains in here, some really pretty wild wheat, some, oh, look how beautiful that one was, the Pool Party chipped paint. And this is like the new, you know, everybody loves the chipped wood look. And so you've got all these, look at the wheat that comes out in that one there. So that would really look pretty with the wild wheat paper. So you've got all those pretty patterns. So I didn't want to waste my paper. So I cut this 4 by 4 so that I could get 9 out of a sheet. And then I carefully cut out all the pieces that I needed. Now you'll see that I got my birdhouse out here. I kept it off to the side. I actually nicked a little bit off by accident, but it'll be covered up by the decorations on the birdhouse. But this piece went here, And I got that beautiful piece here. Actually, there's no petal pink in this sheet here. But the one I did, the one I cut out, it did. So, and then I flipped my paper over so that I could cut out this one for the window box type ledge that the bird. But notice here, even though there's not petal pink in here, that would be a lovely addition to the card. But not every piece is going to have that slat. So what I did is, again, I cut this one out and got this birdhouse. Then actually, this piece would have been fine on this one. It's the back side, but it didn't get any Mars or Jags on that. So, and then I also cut out the bottom of my birdhouse. Now, it has a beautiful stand that you could do your birdhouse this way, but I didn't have enough room on my card because of my sentiment on the front. So I just used the bottom part, excuse my cold, use the bottom part of this part of the gable to make the piece for my post on my birdhouse. Okay, we'll get those. So now we have all of our little pieces for our birdhouse out of one 4x4. And you know, who knows, I might even have a little bit more space to do something there. Okay, so let's do another little thing here because we have another die, and it is in this die set, and it creates the little hole. Whoop. It creates, look at all these dies in here. You have even a hanging thing that could be hanging down there. This creates your little birdhouse door for the little birdhouse to peek in. Isn't it funny? I always think, how do they get in there? So you're going to take a look at this pretty card. Well, I cut out this circle over here that I forgot to do. And pop that there. There we go. Look at that pretty little circle thing it cut out. I'm going to use that on something for sure. Okay, so we have our little hole cut out for our birdhouse, and we're going to put our birdhouse together. Okay, so I'm going to get some of my Tombow glue, and I'm going to put on my little scallop first. Okay, so we're going to get some glue. Oh, I should be using my craft mat, which I know is right handy here because I was just using it. Okay. And the nice thing about putting this birdhouse together is that it, and my tweezers. Oh, look at that. I found my bone folder. Okay, so but I can't find my tweezers. Okay. So we're going to put this. This fits into the little groove right there. There's a little notch on the birdhouse that this little notch fits in. So this tiny little notch here fits that little notch. And you'll see how it just kind of fits right in there. And you just kind of slide it there. And it fit right into it. It's actually cut right out perfectly. Okay. And then I took this blue one, or actually I'm going to take no, this one goes on top of that. So we're going to put the Misty Moonlight, all the pretty colors that are in this Country Woods DSP, really pretty. And we're going to put some glue on this Misty Moonlight gable here. And it just sits right up against the scallop side. It slides right in there. There we go. Piecing all these together. Glue gives us that opportunity to smush things. Smush, smush. There we go. Give it a little bit of a, oh wait, this goes over. I think my petal pink, there we go. And then this piece of early espresso one I did, it goes right inside the blue. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along that edge, just a little bit. There we go. And slide this piece in. And that slides in also right in its perfect place. You can just notice exactly where the pieces layer into that scallop. Of course, this one, because I'm making a video, is getting a little wonky, but all the birdhouses are a little wonky too, because mostly they're made by the scraps you have. So there is our birdhouse, and I am going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of that birdhouse so that we're all ready to go. I'm going to get a little generous with my birdhouse dimensionals because it's going to be popped up there on the front of the card. You could also put your bird on the inside. And I'm going to put that little fine line of dimensionals that's left over with your on your card for our post. Okay. And eventually we're going to be putting this on here. So we're going to put a little bit of glue there. And then we're going to trim it off at the end. So we're just going to go right in the middle. That's not the middle. There, I think that's kind of the middle. I thought that was glue, but it's actually part of the paper. Okay, so we've got our birdhouse ready to go there. Let's go ahead and look at the front of the card again. And I wanted to put my sentiment down here in the bottom, and then my birdhouse up into the, and we actually could do that. No, let's stamp the birdhouse sentiment. Hello, friend. Actually, yeah, no, that'll work. There's nothing, I thought there was like something bumped in there. Okay, put that down in the corner. Using that early espresso as my ink color to pull out with the early espresso that was in the designer series paper in my birdhouse. Okay, so there we've got our sentiment on there. We can go ahead and put our birdhouse on there. Oh gosh, this is so cute. This is so cute. And I've had stamps with birdhouses on them, but not one that is this big and covers that card. And like I said, this fun fold. Now let's put the bottom of the post right flush on the card. We don't even have to trim it. There we go. Now we're just going to dress up our little birdhouse here. I'm going to grab a clear block and just keep this down so that you can see it here. Okay, so I die cut my sweet little bird and a couple of the flowers that are in the set. And again, used my dark petal pink and my dark Pool Party to color in these cute little flowers. And the neat thing about this paper, all of the paper has the Misty Moonlight and those different colors in it. But if you don't have the petal pink paint showing on your DSP, you could make these colors any color then. You could have these be purple, you could have these any color you want. And so we have the ability to do that, to make this. These could be yellow. I mean, they could be that color now too. I'm just like always matchy with my DSP. And do you know, I don't know if you guys are thinking this, but I'm gonna go ahead and do his little belly here. I did just his belly in the petal pink here. I am amazed I didn't hear you guys yelling through the computer saying, hey, what is that color you're using? I'll tell you the color I'm using. I actually, you know what, I'm looking at my card now and I'm thinking I used the lighter Pool Party on my flower leaves, but I'm gonna leave it this way. It's okay. You've still got the colors, but I did use the lighter one because of the die cut. And your colors always lighten up a little bit. Okay, there's another one here. Oh, so what I'm saying is not only is this a new stamp set and new paper, it's also a new cardstock. This is our new basic beige. It's not Sahara Sand, it's not vanilla, not crumb cake. It is basic beige. And it's gonna be a wonderful addition to our lineup here. Just something of a different neutral that we can use. Okay, let's get these little wings colored. There we go. Around his little peeper. Okay, and then I'm not sure if the bird had an orange beak, but why do we always just think they should? It could very well be gray. But then, you know, I'm going to use my Stampin' Write marker because I'm just using a little bit of space that I'm coloring. And when you're only coloring a little bit of space, you won't have streaking with the Stampin' Write markers. These are ones that you could put onto the back of your acrylic block and use your blender pens or use your watercolor brush painters, or to touch up. If you are stamped something and you want to touch it up, I always use my Stampin' Write markers. This is an older one that had a plastic tip. We now have a felt tip on them. But those are what you would use to color in those. Or if I had like small little flowers in a light color, I would do that. But I primarily use my blends when I'm doing my coloring nowadays because it just makes me feel like an artist. Okay, so I am going to use these cork rounds, and I have to tell you, my brain has been all befuddled, and I can't remember if these are carrying over or not, but I have not even used them since I got them in the catalog. This is going to be what you see when you look at your birdhouse and the little perch that they're on. Of course, when you're looking straight on, you're just seeing that perch. Let me see here. Does that give him enough? Yeah. You see that perch, but of course we're looking on one-dimensional, not three-dimensional. And then I just popped our sweet little bird on his perch so that I could see the whole opening in the back. You could put another bird back in there. And then they have these sweet little dies that are in that set that I'm putting on the back of my flowers. Okay, I'm just gonna, I love the way this flower lays too. So I'm gonna just layer some flowers behind it to give it a little more oomph. And keep my fingers from sticking to that. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And another one down here. There we go. Put that there. And I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of that. Put one on the flower part there. And one more here. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to take those little dimensional backs off so that I can transport them all through my house. Okay. And then the flower just goes, oh, I almost forgot to put our little ledge on. I thought that looked a little funny. Like I said, if you wanted to put these flowers in here and make this like a little window box, you certainly could. If I had thought about it, I would have, and I should have, now that I think about it. Maybe that would make a, oh, maybe I should do that. Maybe that would make an alternative card to have posted, and just put these sweet little, a whole bunch of these little flowers across there. That could be pretty, so maybe I will do that. But if you weren't doing that, maybe I'll do that for another card to do. I just put these pretty flowers here, there, and then I stuck, but I think I am gonna do that. I think I'm gonna make a few more of these and put them across here. Then we'll have two cards to look at, okay? You'll remember that. But the other thing I did is, I don't know why I didn't think of that before, because I did see some cards using that as a flower box. But I just finished off my card with a little iridescent basic pearl right here in the middle of that flower. Excuse me, I'm fighting off this cold. Then I made a twine bow with our linen thread. I just always double mine up, give myself enough room to cut. And make that, there we go. And we'll make myself enough room to make the bow, should I say. And I don't know that I did. Maybe this one's going to be a little bit smaller. Yeah, maybe that one's just gonna have a smaller bow on it. Though I did like the way the other one kind of just filled in the whole. This one's got a little bit of a ratty end. And my ink pad's open, could get lint in it. Okay, so I just put this right here on my birdhouse. So there you go. All you need to remember is your piece of, and I think I put it in here, I just want to show you again, this new piece of basic beige. You're just using a half sheet of that, 11 by 4 1/4, score at 5 1/2, and then from that score line, measure down 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8. So 4 times you're measuring it. Then connect the tick marks to make an X across that score line, and then you just play around with the folds, and it goes into that really fun fold. And then you just build up your tree house, your birdhouse. But I'm going to play around with putting these flowers across there so you have a second card to look at. Now remember, May 1st comes out our new annual catalog, and also till the 29th of the month, I'm running my paper shares, just because I'm going to be away while the catalog is going live. So if you want your product shares, they're DSP, in color collections of the DSP, ribbons and embellishments. Make sure you check out on my blog and register for the product shares until April 29th. You also have till May 1st to order your Busy Bee bag. I'm using a new stamp set called Spotlight on Nature with some amazing new dies that, I have them here, circle dies. So you don't have to buy the product for the Busy Bee bag. You get $20 to $25 worth of product in the Busy Bee bag. So it's always a surprise what I pick to do. But if you Want to, you can substitute the product if you already have the product or have your eye on something else. And I pay the shipping on that in your Busy Bee bag. So 2 things you just want to make sure you keep on top of the calendar schedule. By April 29th for the product shares and May 1st for the Busy Bee bag. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.